Hello, everybody. Mariner here, and welcome to Net That Haul. It's a double game week, and just a double from Net That Haul this week as well. Just me and my old mate Gabe from Phoenix, Arizona. How are you doing, my old mate?
Hey, it's a beautiful day here, Mariner. Nice to see you. And yeah, we're a few days away from this upcoming double game week, but the doubles have multiplied. So excited to get into kind of like what's on the horizon for this week. Let's check it out.
Yeah, I mean, still a few things sort of like bubbling under. Are we going to get another double game week announcement? I mean, goodness knows. I mean, it might even have happened overnight. I've not even seen it. But so if anything, if anyone knows anything we don't, let us know. But yeah, I think that's going to be the big one now. Is we're going to get to a point where things are going to start happening. There's going to be a lot of things bubbling on in the background. So I think it's now time to get into your Ben Krellin spreadsheets and probably, as I tend to do when it gets this time of the season, listen to Planet FPL a bit more, because I think if anybody knows what's happening, it's James. I always bow down to other people because they know more than me about these things. I'm good at statistics, mate. That's about it. I'm not very good at FPL, although I am on a bit of a comeback.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. A little resurgence, like the Phoenix.
Yeah, like Arizona. This should be you then, really.
I'm well, whatever the opposite of that is, that's me.
No, I mean, the Rashford call was probably one of my best calls of the season, actually. Everything seemed to line up for him, and the metric followed him. So I thought, well, I think it's about time I actually trusted this damn thing. I spend enough time on it. So yeah, I went with it, and it paid off. And it paid off. It didn't pay off to the tune I would have liked it to. I would have liked that extra. I did wake up in the middle of the night. I looked at it. I thought, oh no, he's going to blank, and then he scored. I nearly jumped out of bed. I was only watching my phone. But yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? These double game weeks they're always difficult, and I know there's going to be a lot of conversation about it this week as well, and the use of a triple captainship, which I think is on quite a few people's minds. So I think probably as someone who isn't gonna, and I'm not gonna spoil it yet, but I'll just give you a rough idea. I don't think I'm gonna play any chips this week, and that means I might want in another Haaland blank. Even though I am captaining him this week. Interesting, huh? Right, shall we dive in and see what's going on? And what we're going to do is just to prove we do listen to the haulers. We're not actually going to do the various bits and bobs at the start of the show. We're going to do them at the end. So, Gabe, we'll dive in. But first of all, guys, as always, please give us a like. Please hit the subscribe button if you don't. And if you wish, and if you really like the idea of what we do in Net That Haul, do consider becoming a hauler. And you can find the details in the YouTube comments below for the video. And so, Gabe, I think we need to do a philosophy of the week. And it's about time that we, this year, had a blank look from Mariner. So over to you.
This is where you shine, and we're going with a classic this time, Mariner. We're going straight to Aristotle and some classic Greek philosophy. And he said, "It is the mark of an educated mind to be able to entertain a thought without accepting it." And I like scour for quotes, right? And then it's like there's like some that pop out to me, and I was asking myself why this quote, stuck out to me, and I think it's because, of Kane. I think Kane brought this quote to light, because Kane is objectively a good pick for the double game week. If Holland didn't exist, obviously maybe a potential captain, or if the fixtures were maybe a little bit different, potential captaincy, and so I found myself entertaining that fact that Kane is an excellent pick and almost unavoidable this game week, and not for everybody.
Yeah,
and I think that was the case for Mitrovic last game week, and I didn't see it. And if I learned the lesson from that game week, then it brings us to this quote.
If you use the Mitrovic rule, right, which happened last week, and basically the law of FPL's going to grab you by the balls, squeeze you, and spit you out, which it does regularly, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kane's going to get a booking.
It's the North London. It's a derby. It's the North London derby. You don't think Kane's going to get a booking? He's 100% going to get a booking.
I mean, if the North London derby was the second game, maybe not. Maybe he'd be a bit more careful. But this one, I mean, I could easily see him take that booking in that first game. Get that booking in the first game.
I think it gets reset after the first game, doesn't it? I think it gets reset after the first game of the game.
I don't know.
Is that 19? I'll check really quickly while
check
you
that quick.
go on.
I mean, it might be that we're okay. So, but I mean, from my perspective, he's still on that booking, which obviously is a concern because, yeah, I mean, ultimately, you know, we could end up in a similar situation as Mitrovic if they don't reset, Gabe.
Yeah, they do.
I think they reset after the game. Is it the game week or the game?
It's the game, and Spurs have played 18 matches.
So they need to play one more.
So the North London derby will be their 19th. And so if he escapes the derby without a card, he's fine.
Right.
Then he'll play for Fulham, which is a great matchup coming up after the double, right?
All right. But if he picks a booking up,
then he'll miss the City game.
Right. Here we go again. Right. Okay. Yeah, I'm just looking at this. Right, okay. So if he picks a booking up, he misses the City game. But saying that, well, I mean, City are not very good defensively at the moment anyway, are they? So
here we go. Here's Mike Halpin.
Right.
Spurs fan convinced Craig Pawson, who's the ref, has agenda against them. I've heard this from some other people as well. So
oh well. Anyway, look, I just think and this makes you think, doesn't it? And this is an interesting point. Would you buy Kane right now on the back of this philosophy if you didn't own him?
I think it depends on what it takes to get there.
Yeah, without a hit.
Without a hit, 100%.
Yeah, with a hit, maybe not. Because of that risk, right? Yeah. Because of that risk. Yeah, I think that's a fair point. Okay, I think I understood your philosophy this week for the first time ever. Maybe I'm turning a new leaf over for the new year.
Or maybe after 3 years, this is actually the first philosophy that I've done that's actually relevant to FPL. I don't know. Maybe that's what it is.
Could be. Yeah, it could be. Yeah, it could be. Right. Anyway, should we dive into the matchups? Let's get straight into it. We want to try and get through this fairly quickly. Otherwise, you know, might end up getting a sack from work, so I'll be late. But anyway, there we go. Where are we going to start? Well, Aston Villa against Leeds. We'll quickly cover this. And the reason I want to cover this, I think, is because my fixture difficulty really likes Aston Villa. All of a sudden, Villa. I don't know whether it's had too much festive cheer, you know, whether I made a complete balls up with the numbers at the back end, but it seems to be more the fact that he doesn't like Leeds. But there we go. There's another story. What do you think?
So what I wrote there is that this FDR for Villa 3.2 is better than the aggregate FDR for Manchester United for both matchups, for both fixtures. So like and what, by Leon Bailey instead of Marcus Rashford? is that what the FDR is telling us here?
No,
I don't think so. But I think I kind of so NetxG has more even Leeds and Villa attack, and if I just based on watching the games, I'd side more with NetxG in this case. But I do respect that Villa is getting some love from the FDR, because I think Unai Emery has really changed the way this team attacks and their whole structure. You have John McGinn playing on the right wing, doing different things and combining. I think they're about to sign this. I think he's a left back, a new left back from somewhere that's really good. So I see where the love for Villa is coming. But then again, if we go to the shot models, right? The 2 points of disagreement in the data that I noted here is that NetxG likes Villa's attack less than the FDR, and NetxG likes Leeds attack more than the FDR. you know. So I think the reasons for that are likely home away. We know Leeds are much better at home, right? And it's not taking that into account. And I think Meslier is the other reason. I think the Leeds goalkeeper, he saved 12 big chances in the last 6 matches. So so I think that's playing a factor in NetxG, maybe that the FDR isn't taking into account. Obviously, the answer is usually somewhere in the middle.
That's fair. I think that's a fair comment. And I would also say, if Aston Villa defend like they did against Stevenage in the cup for Stevenage's winner, I mean, seriously, someone commented on my Sunday League football skills overnight when I posted a picture of my little daughter running around the room with the ball at 13 months, saying that I have less touches than her. Quite frankly, that was Sunday League defending from Aston Villa. Did you see the goal? It was utterly awful. They were fast asleep. Short corner, player ran to the edge of the box, rifled it in at the near post, past our mate. Martinez, what a come down, eh?
Wow. He went from one cup, he stepped up into the level of another cup.
They got beaten by Steve. By the way, just whilst we're on the FA Cup, I needed to find a way to get the FA Cup into the system.
Yes.
Grimsby Town into the 4th round with a plum draw against
Luton?
No, Wigan or Luton. What a load of shit. I hope it's Wigan. We take more away fans. Right. Okay. Anyway, there we go. Right. Okay.
Congratulations. That's huge. We were happy for you in the chat.
It's good for us. Yeah, we've been League One. Yeah, we've been beating League One teams all the way through. Apparently, Burton were the worst team that my son had seen at Blundell Park all season, and they're a league above us. But there we go. That's another story. Yeah, very quickly on this, I think I probably tend to agree with you. I think Aston Villa, I think the fixture difficulty probably is somewhere in between. I think that's a fair point. But I do think, I see Rubber Ducky. Hello, Rubber Ducky is in the chat. He's saying that he's looking at Watkins for Mitro. Watkins is doing bits again. He's bound to start hitting the post a few times, though, isn't he? So,
I don't know. I'm telling him here in the chat. I love Watkins under Unai Emery. I think he's I think Emery's getting the best out of him. He's a player transformed, and I'm just bringing him up here. Ings as well, but he's not a regular starter.
Yeah.
He's like you said, he's ticking along, right? 5s, 6s. He's not hauling, but he is netting that return. So there you go.
Net that return.
No,
I mean, look, but he tends to just get that return, doesn't he? Yeah, but if he just gets that return, that's fine. But is he going to get more of those returns than Mitrovic? That's the question. Someone with such a talisman. I contemplated going Mitrovic to Martial.
I thought about that for a minute too, and
yeah, me too. It was a minute.
Not gonna happen.
Just a minute.
I thought longer about Casemiro than Martial, if I'm honest.
Okay. Anyway, whilst we're on Manchester United, let's start with Manchester United against Manchester City. So, right, where's the fixture difficulty go with all this? Well, it actually has it fairly tight. It actually has it fairly
tight. Metrics agree. Both
metrics. 1.1 for Manchester City attack fixture difficulty, and 0.7 for Manchester United. So this fixture difficulty is bordering on not seeing a clean sheet for either side here, and possibly spitting a 1-1 draw out, if you ask me. Zonals wise, probably unsurprisingly, it does just have that chance for City's left and centre of doing a little bit more, perhaps, than Manchester United. It doesn't see a lot for Manchester United, quite frankly, which I think sums up what you said when you add up both Manchester United's fixture difficulties for the entire game week, really. So, this makes me think this could be a pretty not a boring game. They're not boring games, but maybe a low scorer. I might be wrong. And then they've got Palace away which isn't necessarily that easy, but maybe is a bit easier this season. Where are we on this fixture, first of all, Gabe?
I mean, the metrics agree here. I mean, it's a pretty interesting agreement from two teams that we're expecting much from, right? That both metrics are saying like a goal apiece wouldn't surprise us here.
Yeah.
If we just look at the metrics, let's see. Oh, here, United have scored 7 goals in 3 Premier League matches since the World Cup. But their fixtures haven't been that difficult. So, that's something to take into account. Yeah, the zonals are obviously going to favor City, and that's what'll always get. It doesn't take many chances for Haaland to return, so he's obvious. De Bruyne could be obvious here, but I think what's interesting is to kind of like how the metrics contrast with the shots goal predictors. So in terms of shots, not shots on target, just that third one down, it's all green. We're looking at high probability. I mean, to have a 31% chance of 3 or more goals for City and a 24% chance, like a 1 in 4 chance of 3 or more goals for United, that's pretty decent. And that's conflicting with all of the other data that we're seeing. So I would take that, I think, a little bit with a grain of salt, because the goal predictors, they're not matchup based. They are just how many shots they take. And then the other thing I would say is, look how the green, it gets lighter in color when you go from the shots goal predictor to the shots on target goal predictor. That means that the finishing is not as good as the shots, as the chances that the shots are generating. So if the colors kind of align, then it's roughly the same. If the color goes towards the red there, then the finishing is not good. And then if the color gets greener from the shots to the shots on target goal predictor, then that means the finishing is actually quite good. And the finishing isn't good kind of for either one of these sides, maybe a little bit better for United there, and that's how we see the better chances in the goal predictor. I see, especially at Old Trafford, this could be a little bit of a cagey one. And then it'll depend a lot on game state, I would say. If City get an early goal and United have to open up, then fine. Looks like Dalot went out injured, so Malacia could be playing on the right-hand side. That could change things, and so I don't know. I think this one's tough to predict.
It is, because it makes you think. You're thinking about these double game weeks, and we're all naturally drawn to bringing in extra players from Manchester United or potentially Manchester City or Spurs, maybe. We'll come on to that later. But I mean, people who don't own Rashford, I think you've just got to be on him anyway. I think you just ignore this personally and just buy him.
Mm-hmm.
But that said, when you start looking about other players, the Luke Shaws of this world, there is a world that I could go Cancelo to Shaw, for example. But if I did that, I'm just putting him up against Haaland, who I own anyway. So I just feel like I'm probably going to be taking just take points away, and probably even hurting myself, potentially hurting myself even more. That said, I mean, Shaw's in great form, and then they've got Palace, who isn't. It's not too, not such a difficult fixture as maybe it looks on paper. Yeah, City, we obviously, we think about City, and if the matchup was great, then I'd be really scrambling around trying to find which other City asset to jump on, because I've got 2, or whether I'd move Cancelo to someone. It's really quite the matchups and everything, the fixture difficulties and things don't help with decisions this week for these 2, in my opinion.
I agree with you, and there's a lot of chatter on Twitter right now, Mariner. I don't know if you're tempted by this chatter to bring Mahrez in.
What did Emi Martinez do? Where's that golden glove?
Where did he put it?
Oh, crack! I mean, I think it might be Thavindra Raj. You said 4th time lucky. I mean, look, the only thing is oh, hell, don't get me going. I did it last year. It ruined my season last year. It finished me off. If an OR of 122 could be a ruined season, but
You know,
you know what I mean, don't you? That
Cancelo to
penalty miss,
Shaw and like
I still to
Andreas
this day,
Tamares or something
that
like that.
penalty
No,
miss, I just want to smash the.
dropped you out of the 2-digit rank.
Oh man, I don't know though, but I mean, there's not a lot supports it though, is there? On this one, anyway, I'd have to look on the other zonal. I've got it in front of me actually. No, it doesn't support them. It doesn't support Mahrez down the right either. I'm just looking at that now. Maybe not is the answer. I tell you, I'm all like Grealish.
Although Foden got a hat trick from that right side in back in October in game week 9 against United.
Who are they going to be up against though? The right side, it's going to be Shaw.
The right, yeah, it'll be up against Shaw. In that game, he played against Malacia for the first 45 minutes, and then Malacia was taken off, and then Shaw came in. I think Foden still got a goal, 1 or 2 goals in the second half. So, I don't know. It worked back then.
Yeah. Okay. We've got a question about would we triple captain Haaland? Should we wait till we've done the other fixture at the end before we'll come on to captains before we talk about triple captaincy?
Okay.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. We'll come back to that. Just flag it. You're doing a good man. Right. Okay. Let's keep going. Do you want to do anything on the zones or not bothered? Should we just leave this for the guys to just bookmark it at 2140? Or 2140 and let them come and have a read of it, or do you want to?
Yeah, I'll go over it really quickly, just so we don't like leave people hanging. But yeah, come take a look at it if you want to see this in more detail. There have been some requests for more tactical analyses, so we're trying to include them more. But this game week there were 2 extra matches, so we didn't get to many. So we just have a couple of these here. But I mean, basically the point of this one is on the one side, we saw how Manchester United played against Arsenal when they beat them 3-1 versus how they played against Everton more recently and then the last game week. And we saw how they sat deep. They tried to absorb pressure from their defensive right side. And then they try to break and penetrate through their left side. I think they'll probably set up the way they set up against Arsenal, not so much obviously the way they set up against Everton, where they're trying to push everything much higher. This is a touch heat map that we're showing there. And everything is kind of just pushed forward on that left-hand side for United. So they're going to sit back, but even them sitting back like that, I think, Rashford, for example, excels in that situation. And even a player like Luke Shaw could excel. That could be the outlet kind of going forward. He could be the one supplying the crosses from deep or even the crosses from the end line there. And then the other one is that kind of that this is a shot from the previous when Manchester City and the previous Manchester derby, and it's just one of the goals. It's Holland playing the ball across to Phil Foden there, and Phil Foden is more 2-footed than Riyad Mahrez is, and so he could just, since he can use his right a little bit more, I think he could really kind of just pin Shaw back and not allow him to go forward more than Mahrez, whereas Mahrez will be cutting in on his left foot, which will keep Shaw kind of narrow and high, and that'll block the middle for United or for City. So I think Foden makes more sense from a tactical perspective. However, Pep did come out with some comments that kind of put, I guess, put some starts into question. Like the starts is always what's a concern there.
It's a good point because he brought up about attitude, didn't he?
Yeah.
He brought up, and Cancelo was one of the, and obviously the people who have not been playing are the ones who have probably been going to get pointed at when it comes to this attitude. So, I mean, again, I was looking at it and I thought, well, I don't want Mahrez. Do I think about Grealish or someone like that? But I just can't trust them. I think I'll wait for the Man City predictor at the last minute and then try and figure out what's going on. And we'll go from there. Just a couple of comments. Few things here, quite interesting points. Every defense can be got at, even City. This is from Fantasy Football Casuals. Hello, mate. That's why I can't see spending over 6.5 defender. I think that's fair.
I agree with that, and it makes transfers for defenders this week that they feel wasteful to me. Like if bringing in Shaw this week doesn't feel right.
I just wish I could just hold Cancelo. Honestly, I wish I could just hold him.
Yeah.
Rashford's going for consecutive goals at home record. Is he not? Sounds like. I think he is. And that would be a pretty spectacular thing to achieve against City as well. Okay, let's keep going. That's we've done enough on that one. Brighton against Liverpool. Well, now then. Now this is going to be interesting. Buy Brighton attack this week. Mariner is telling you, Pascal Gross, there's your man. That's who I want.
Pascal Gross. He's
top of my algo for Brighton right now.
Interesting. That's interesting. What's holding Mitoma back in that algo?
Minutes, I think.
Minutes, right? What if you increase his minutes?
I think because he gets very close to him.
I bet he passes him.
Yeah, I'll have to check. I'll go and I'll do some manipulation later. Sounds like a bit of like what you get when you get your back put back in. I'll have to go and put the back into the algorithm. But it likes Pascal Gross at the moment.
I like Pascal. I mean, I think I kind of agree with your FDR here. I mean, the last time they met was the De Serbi's first match in charge of Brighton. It was 3-3, that Trossard hat-trick game that trolled everybody, remember? And here's, I mean, Mitoma, Mitoma's like the love child of FPL teacher in me. He's like this darling. We've been grooming this guy, this asset as an FPL asset for several months, and he's just now exploding. So I love Mitoma in this matchup. I think the zonal matchup works out for him. I think the tactics work out for him. Your FDR likes him, but not that much more than the Liverpool attack. I'm surprised you have the Liverpool attack at 0 at a completely neutral matchup. What do you think that's about?
That's probably to do with Brighton at home, but I just think Liverpool have just been stuttery all season. Bear in mind, I'd have to just look into the numbers and figure out whether Darwin Núñez is having if we've got a Darwin Núñez effect in there as well. Although I don't think about post shot XG, so probably it's wrong.
A lot of people don't think of post shot XG. If you're a Darwin supporter, you don't think of post shot XG. Conveniently ignore that stat. But you can see, so look at the shots goal predictor for Liverpool and how it's that deep green, and then you look at it at the shots on target goal predictor and how it's the lighter green, and that's the Darwin effect right there. That's the 7th worst post shot XG that we're talking about there. The Darwin lovers and the analytics people will tell you that obviously he's due. And I think the people that the eye test people will say that, well, he just doesn't finish.
Yeah. I mean, just jumping into Brighton here, Matthew in the chat, Ferguson up top looks the real deal. You can see him maintaining his spot, and at 4.5 million, it's insanely good value. I tell you what he is. He's an extremely, extremely good finisher. I've been messing around with some accuracy on shooting, and he's right up there on the algorithms for that. I've been doing a little bits and bobs over Christmas just when I was bored, sat looking at the rain in the UK. And yeah, I might start rolling these other algos out. So if you're a hauler, get on, you'll get hold of these. But he does jump out as being quite a good finisher, albeit on a small amount of data. We'll have to see how he goes. Can I see myself freeing money up from someone like Mitrovic down to him and jumping up? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know whether there's enough yet, but I can see what he's saying. I just think I'm not sure I see Liverpool. Just going back to what we said, though, I'm not sure I see Liverpool not scoring here. I don't think it's a clean sheet for Brighton. I think this has got, Liverpool can always score. Can Haller haul this game? He can haul in any game. Is it more like would Salah to KDB make sense this week? I don't think I would fall over myself if someone says I'm going to go to KDB. I wouldn't. I certainly wouldn't fall over myself if I said I was going to go to Son, because I think I am doing that move, and that's where I am. There we go. Stop the press.
I think KDB's obvious. I think that's probably the top priority of the game week for most managers.
Boring. I'm not playing boring anymore. I'm turning to rubber.
So you're fading KDB this week. You're not going to have him.
Yeah, I think so. I think I might go for Son. Just go. I don't know. I just don't like City's matchups. I fancy Son. Oddly enough, I fancy Son more than KDB because Son is a big game player, and I think I just have this. You know when you just got that feeling in your water. The last time I had me feeling in my water about this like that was Fernandez last year when I captained him.
Well, I have a feeling that
that's the last time I had that feeling about, because there was absolutely nothing to suggest Fernandez was the right captaincy option that week. Can you remember when he hauled?
Yeah.
Nothing to suggest it. And I've just got that little inkling deep down. This could be a Sun week.
Well, I have a feeling that your water is about to break there, Mariner, because you're judging one player on the data and another player on. I have the feeling in your water.
I've got to try and recover my rank somewhere. Bloody hell, give me a chance.
All right, fine. Maybe I'll join you.
We'll come back to all this. We're jumping all over the place, but this is perfect. This is what I like to do when we're chatting away. We're just chatting. Yeah. There's no one here. We're just talking. Brighton against Liverpool.
Actually, that's not true. There are 36 people here, so
that's all right. Then. That's good. And my son's here as well. And whilst we're on it, then anything on the tic-tacs for Brighton Liverpool, which you just want to just.
No, just the reason I like Mitoma is that I think he'll play roughly the Lallana role. Look how Lallana moved around in the previous match when he got his hat trick, and that's how Mitoma moved around against Everton in their previous match. So I like Mitoma can move around there. Pascal Gross can move around. That's why I like him as well. So just come check out these heat maps, and I'll post this thread probably tomorrow as well. And then it'll show like what you're hoping for with Salah and the Darwin dynamic is you're hoping for the player that doesn't check to the ball and feed the other player in. And for just Liverpool fans in general, you're hoping the player that checks to the ball and feeds the other player is Darwin, and the player being fed is Salah. And I think that could be the case because Brighton do have a weakness with Estupiñán pushing forward. Brighton have a weakness at their left back position. I think Salah, if he's coming in from wide on the right, could be more effective there. So that's how I see this game playing out.
Okay. And just whilst I was just looking, I've just been looking at this algorithm whilst I'm talking to you. If I made the minutes the same for Mitoma, he jumps up close to Gross, but not above him.
Okay.
It actually, if you were to pick Brighton assets to look at for the next few weeks, it likes Sanchez more than anybody else. Just followed by Gross, followed by Estupiñán, followed by Mitoma.
I guess it's not surprising when your Liverpool FDR is 0.0.
Yeah. Well, that's neutral, right? That's
right,
neutral.
But it's not dragging it down, is what I mean. So with some good fixtures there, and the Liverpool one isn't dragging it down, it'll seem good.
Yeah. Everton Southampton. Well, yes. I don't think we need to spend any time on this. I think we can jump straight past. Apart from saying this is gonna. Oh God, this. Now, this is an option. It's suggesting goals, Gabe. We'll very quickly cover it. It suggests goals. It's not surprising. It suggests goals, really. I wouldn't be buying either of them, though. 2-2. There we go. That's my score.
Wow, 2-2?
Yeah.
1-0.
1-0. Right. Why's that? I just think, mind you, my fixture difficulty perhaps suggests something else. Why has your NetxG gone the other way, then?
The defense is Everton conceded the second most shots in the box in the last 6, so it's liking Southampton attack a little bit because of that.
Yeah, and then you look at the zones and you see Southampton's zones are better. Suggest that they're going to get chances. Suggest that they're going to get headed chances as well. Interestingly enough,
And the zonal matchups are factored into NetxG. So it likes Everton attack because of Southampton's I don't know why it likes Everton attack. It likes Southampton's attack because of the shots in the box, and it likes yeah. So I guess that's why it's propped up. But the shots there kind of tell the story for me.
All right, let's keep going. There's nothing really too much to talk about there. Forest and Leicester, I think, again, not an awful lot to talk about. What I will say, though, it could be a good game to watch because it's a bit of a local derby, so it's going to be a bit blood and guts, I think, which I love. Anything like that. See a bit of passion on the pitch, hopefully. I'm not sure I agree with your NetxG, though. I really fancy Forest in this. I think Forest can turn them over.
Really?
I don't know that I'd be buying any Forest or Leicester assets, quite frankly. Now, if you own Ward, what's the option? If you didn't own Ward, who else would you have? Kepa. Who are Chelsea playing this week?
Palace.
Home against Palace. I'd play Kepa.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I wouldn't play Ward this week, even with Chelsea's woes, and there are plenty.
Yeah, I mean, I think NetxG kind of sees it as a somewhat even matchup. I mean, the raw number itself likes Leicester a little bit more, but they're away, and then the shots are almost identical. The shots models are almost identical. I don't think one team is going to roll the other. I see this, any combination of ones and zeros. This is a binary match like the previous one.
A binary matchup. I'm going to go that the binary matchup goes with the home team, thanks to the City ground. Okay, Brentford, Bournemouth. This is interesting. Now, I'd like to talk about Brentford a little bit because is Posto gonna be the man to go for now with Tony? I mean, we still don't know when's his hearing. When's Tony's hearing?
I thought he was supposed to respond by January 4th, but I haven't heard anything.
No, me neither. But there's no news of him, and he's injured anyway, or he was. So I'd have to check as to whether he's. But if that's the case, then it really opens up Mbumo. I would have said Wissa, but he's a midfielder, and we ain't got any slots in midfield, right? Unless you wanted to go from Andreas to him, which is an interesting option.
I'd probably go to Casemiro first.
Yeah,
for the double, but yeah, there's the reference ode to you there. There's Woodworkio is certainly mentioned here in the analysis.
Well, and he should be because I think he's a genuine option right now. If Tony's out for any length of time, I can see me considering investing in him, quite frankly, because I do like Brentford. I think Brentford are a bit of a breath of fresh air, actually. But oddly enough, they don't seem to create that much, but they just seem to be very, very good at finishing off what they create. Yeah. The fixture difficulty suggests a really positive fixture difficulty for Brentford, though, 2.6, and defensively at 1. Doesn't like Bournemouth, hardly surprising. It really likes Brentford's headed options as well, 3.4. I'm not sure who that would be. I'd have to check. Your shot predictors, again, follow suit. It goes for a solid Brentford win.
Yeah. High chance of 2 or more shots, or 2 more goals, for Brentford in this one. Playing at home, Brentford's also way better at home. So that in that sense, I give the nod to your FDR there, and I think that kind of says it all. I think Bournemouth's NetxG at 1.29 is a little bit inflated, and it's taking in data from when they had when Bournemouth had Tavernier, and Bournemouth are a shell of a team, barely professional without Tavernier. So
yeah. If it wasn't for a double game week, I think Brentford assets would be right on the top of my shopping list, quite frankly, for this week. There we go. Chelsea Palace. Well, Chelsea are in a mess. They're ravaged with injuries.
Just really quickly on Tony, just to go back to Tony, because Matthew's mentioning something here. Said, no, Tony could have been. Frank mentioned at the turn of the year that he could have been made the made the FA Cup game. He could have made the FA Cup game. Looking at Salah to De Bruyne and Adams to Tony this week. The one thing I'll say about Tony is I think Tony's still injured. He's got he's flagged.
We'd have to check Ben Dinnery. I haven't looked.
Yeah, but, leg injury. 50. He's still at 50% chance of playing. So
yeah, but let's go on to this game. Let's start again. Let's go back. Let's put timestamp at this point. Chelsea Palace. Chelsea are in a hell of a mess. They're ravaged with injury. They've got people in this. They've got the stands chanting for Tuchel to come back. Someone said that Mount wasn't playing far enough right, or far enough on the wing. He should have been playing outside the stadium. I saw that comment. That was hilarious. I know they fell off my chair laughing. Clearly, there is an absolute. I think was it Alan Shearer went off on one on the BBC TV about how bad Chelsea were. They're saying they're just not putting a shift in at this moment in time. For someone who's been touted as an England manager, well, quite frankly, couldn't manage under 13s team at the moment. The way he's going, he certainly can't manage these players. This should be a relatively easy day at the office for Chelsea under normal circumstances against someone like Palace, who are not great away from home, generally speaking. It actually suggests not a great day at the office for either. It's red all over. The red tide, you've called it, Gabe.
The red tide has come. I mean, so this is what I wrote. I want to read this because I think it's important for us to kind of just shift the way we see Chelsea at the moment for now, unless we see something different. So with the red tide, two teams with seemingly good matchups after restart have just continued to show us that maybe they are the good matchup. And that's for both Chelsea and Palace.
Yeah. I mean, fixture difficulty doesn't suggest anything, really. It's very neutral, which should be very positive for Chelsea, you'd expect at home, right? And in fact, the zonals actually suggest Palace's centre has been the best route for something to happen. Look at that red on Chelsea's left and centre. It's really not too good at all. Headers, there's nothing. Shot predictors, red. Shots on target, goal predictors, red. I mean, look, fair play. Let's be honest with Chelsea. They have got a ton of injuries, and that is clearly a factor. But you've still got to, if you're pulling that shirt on for Chelsea, you've got to have some passion about it. Surely. I just don't think it's there. And I don't know about this one. I've got Kepa. I'm not going anywhere with him. I'm happy enough. I've got some points off in 1 week. It's a shame I've not had any more. But I'm not falling over myself to change my goalkeeper, don't get me wrong. And I'd still think I'd go with Chelsea's goalkeeper over Ward. I think he's got a better chance of a clean sheet than Ward this week. But I'm not... This is just... I mean, Chelsea are completely off the shopping list, as are Crystal Palace. Why are we even talking about this?
I think you wanted to make that point. Point made.
Okay.
We move on. There we go.
Now I want to talk about this one. Newcastle against Fulham. Look at that fixture difficulty. 4.8 for Newcastle. 1.7. I mean, Trippier captain anybody this week over a double game week? And I'll tell you what, he's the only player out of all of them, out of anyone who would get anywhere near my thoughts for captain and a single game week player this week is Trippier. I genuinely think that Trippier will be is now a serious captain option. Is it 12 returns in the last 13? Something like that. Seriously good option nowadays. Now, Fulham away, obviously there's the Mitrovic factor. Rested, because I think he didn't play against Hull in the week in the FA Cup. I didn't see him on the pitch when the bit I was watching. I don't think he was on the bench either. So he's rested, which he probably needed. But Newcastle, they look at home. The fixture difficulty really likes them. The zones doesn't quite see it so much. The headed matchups really like them as well. I really like them. And I think that's a good point for Trippier because the headed matchups up, which means that then he could be delivering here as well. So there's an
Exactly.
assist option, I think, here.
Yeah.
Shot predictors, they're a bit more green for Newcastle than Fulham, but not quite so noticeable. Do you see anything I don't, Gabe?
Well, both teams finish well. So you see the shots on target goal predictor is a darker shade of green than the shots goal predictor. So when both teams finish well, like goals can come up unexpectedly because it could be just from a good finish and less systemic. But I have to wonder. Maybe I have to go back and check the data because I wrote here that Fulham apparently have one chance conceded. They're one chance conceded shy of being tied for the most chances conceded from the left in the past 6. So Newcastle's right zonal matchup should be better than the 2.4 listed in the zonal there. And if that's the case, then NetxG I feel should be better. So I think we have to do a little digging on this one. But in general, I think I agree. I think this could be a monster game for Trippier. I think just from the delivery, from the headed matchup and the matchups from the attacking Fulham's left hand side, and Almiron could be back from that right half space.
Yeah, I mean, if I was going to do one, if there wasn't a double game week, if there weren't these double game weeks flying around, my move would be Patterson up to Botman. That's what my move would have been.
So here's Travis McGill. Thanks for this comment, because this actually highlights why it's so low for Newcastle here. Fulham have 5 clean sheets in the last 5 games, despite having horrible data overall, and there's a reason for that. And then his name is Bern Leno.
Right.
He's been.
Where does he sit with respect to XG prevented? Right at the top.
I'll look for it right now. I'll bring up the spreadsheet.
I don't need to do it now. I mean, if you find a minute before the end of the show, it'd be worth looking at it, because I know Kepa. When I was looking at it, Kepa was right up. Was very high up there as well, obviously, because he's another one who's who tends to prevent or has prevented quite a lot of XG. But yeah, it'd be interesting to know that. And again, and good on you, Travis, because you have to cut through data sometimes.
Yeah. And Leno in the last 6, it's Leno's best in the league.
Right. Okay. That's interesting.
2.3.
That's interesting. Is he going to be able to deal with the black and white army, though, up there? That is a tough place to go.
At St. James, exactly. Yeah. So that's a big swing as well, which makes me lean more towards your FDR than NetxG in this case. And I think the shots predictor kind of supports that.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. And now the issue is are we going to get that clean sheet? Because that's the big thing, right? Really, for someone like Trippier. Because you need that clean sheet to support it. He doesn't tend to get more than 1 attacking return, which is probably fair enough, because at the end of the day, he plays at the back. Oh well, he doesn't. Well, I mean, he's on set pieces and this, that, and the other. So yeah. I mean, I'm not going to captain him this week, don't get me wrong, but on a single game week, do you know what? I can see him topping a metric one week. I can see him topping the metric one week. And do you know what? I'll gladly suggest him to captain him if it does. I really will, particularly if I think the clean sheet's there. Okay. North London Derby. Go to Nima's channel if you want a full detail on that. I would suggest the bite-sized podcast or something. There's his plug for him. Bless him, and he's having a tough time at the moment. We hope everything's okay, mate. Tottenham Arsenal. Arsenal's net XG better than Spurs. Fixture difficulty. Spurs difficulty is better than Arsenal. I mean, again, this is an odd one, isn't it? It doesn't matter what I do with my fixture difficulty. Arsenal just never seem to come out very favourably away from home.
It doesn't matter what I do with NetxG. Spurs doesn't seem to come out favorably anywhere.
It's weird. It's really weird. And I mean, look, Arsenal's central zone is absolutely dominant. 4.7 here. Yeah. That is a very interesting one for me, because that brings our mate Odegaard right into this conversation again. I genuinely can see me owning both Martinelli and Odegaard within 2 weeks. within 2 weeks before the double. Honestly, I think if Odegaard stays, if nothing changes the way things are, I think Odegaard's the man for me over Saka. He's cheaper. The zones support what he's doing. Arsenal, obviously, a fabulous team right now to watch, and so I enjoy watching them as well as actually owning assets for them as well, which is quite an important point of considering. This is why we do FPL. We don't. I mean, I don't do it just for this. I do it for to watch games and to enjoy it, right, or to try to. And I think Arsenal-wise, I think you can enjoy it at this moment in time. They're the real deal, and I genuinely think. I think they have enough to beat Spurs, but it's a North London derby. And Spurs have big players for big games. And if this is ever a Sun week, this to me, both fixtures are Sun weeks. Yeah, that's where I am. Has he lost his mask though? That's the question. Did he take it off in disgust? Does he have to put it back on again?
I think he took it off to celebrate.
Right. Well, he may just take it off and throw it away and get on and get on with it. Get rid of the mask. Son, never mind your cheekbone or whatever it is. Get on with it. Take your mask off and score Mariners some goals. Because I genuinely think that Son is a good option this week. Where are you on this, on Gabe? Nothing really supports it on the numbers. But my gut, my waterworks is telling me that Son might be the man this week.
I mean, derbies depend so much on game state, don't they? But Kane is the North London derby player. He's historic, right? So I think Kane is the player to own in this one, and maybe Son in the City matchup, which isn't what people want to hear. But I also think.
What about both? What about both? Because I already own Kane. I would be going all in on this.
Hey. If you can go all in on Spurs and watch football, I don't know, more power to you. I couldn't do that.
Look, I'm trying to gain rank, mate. I'm trying to get back. I've got to look for differentials. I think Son is a great differential. I mean, Son this week is a great differential on his own, right? Son and Kane, if there's a combination, I'm flying. If there's a combination return, I'm absolutely flying on it.
True, yeah.
And I'm just thinking, is this, I just have this gut feeling, is this the one? Now, I could be boring and go KDB, and he's probably due. He's definitely due, I would say. Anyone who's owned him is probably really pissed off.
Not for long.
Yeah, I know.
But
I know. Have I got away with it up to now? And am I just actually biting off a bit more than I can chew? Is the little devil sat on my shoulder thinking, am I gonna, is the little guy on the shoulder saying, hang on a minute, Chris, you need to just be careful about this.
Yeah, I don't think see it after about those waterworks, man. Son doing not trust me.
Well, he will do. You're a bloody gooner.
Exactly.
I mean, look, it is nothing more than a goal. I brought this point up immediately after the moment I saw him score. I said, is this the turning point? And that is the question. You know what it takes? It just takes a goal. That's the same with any footballer, right? You can go in off your ass. If all of a sudden you start getting a bit of confidence and a bit of form starts to return, and there's the talk about Kane not playing deep enough. He needs to play deeper to feed Son. Why not?
Yeah, and that's what I would expect to happen in the City match. But I don't know if that'll happen here in the North London derby. I think they want Kane more as a target that in the box than as a target linking the play.
That doesn't suit them, does it? It doesn't suit them the way that they play, right? Kane, I mean, you look back at these returns when they were playing at the best. Where do these goals come from? They came from Kane dropping deep, picking the ball up, and picking a pass out over the top for Son, or through for Son. I mean, how many times did we see it? To me, I think all the Spurs fans see the need I think the above average guys, they all see it. I was watching what they were saying and listening on Twitter. Everyone, Spurs fans, they see it. Kane needs to drop deeper. If Kane drops deeper,
because Spurs fans are living in the past. They're living with a different manager. They're living with a different team, a different 11, except for those two, and they want to recreate something that happened 3 years ago today. You don't have the team. You don't have the manager to do that. No. No, this is like I think Spurs can do some things, but this, like, remember when things were good several years ago? Why don't we do that kind of narrative? It's just such bullshit. It's just like fan talk. That's just such bullshit. That's not necessarily what your team needs. If Son can't finish to save his life, who gives a fuck who's playing Son in?
But he can't say
Son is Darwin this season. That's what Son is.
Jesus Christ, man. You can't say that Son can't finish to save his life. You're biased. You're
this season, this season, this is how it's been. I'm just saying it's like that this season, and to live in the fucking now, because it's not 3 years ago, and Conte is not Pochettino.
Oh, I love it. Look, this is what people enjoy about us too. We go off on one even at each other. But no, I mean, look, I see. I know they are not what I know. Son is not what he was, right? He hasn't been. But Son doesn't become a bad player overnight. The same as Salah. On any given day, Son has the ability to haul. Any given day, he just needs a bit of luck. And if Kane picks a booking up, Son will be on penalties if they get one. Anyway, right. There we go. Let's keep coming. We'll still come back to Spurs, I dare say, again. But I mean, look, where I sit on this is that dare I double up? Dare I? Or do I? It's simple. This is a relatively simple one. Do I attack or do I defend? Because bringing KDB in is a form of defense against the triple captain, I think, which will undoubtedly hurt me if I don't triple captain Haaland, right? If I bring Son in, that to me is more of an attacking play. It has a higher upside than the KDB route, but it probably has the chance of going wrong a lot more. That's the question. That's the one. I think I'd need a giant sofa if I didn't go KDB. But hell, I've not had KDB for the last few weeks, and I've not been worried, oddly enough.
No, but he hasn't had a double. He hasn't had that zonal matchup. So it's a little bit. I would be worried without KDB, and then I think there are still gains to be had from KDB. So he's about.
Yeah. Well, and according to Mike Halpin, Nima would be talking me out of this madness. No one's going to talk me out of this madness right now.
But KDB is about 35% owned or something like that. So there are still gains to be had from owning him. It's not like you're settling for a
but
80% owned player that you won't get gains from.
I'm not captaining him. And what can I do with that extra bit of cash? That could make a bit of a difference to me. You know, let's say I want to do. I'm not saying I'm going to do this week, but you know, I could make some inroads in on someone like Andreas with that little bit of extra money, which is another sort of thought, because I do hold 2 transfers. So could I go to someone like Mitoma or someone? How much is Mitoma? It's a bit more expensive, right?
4.9.
Is he on? He's only a tiny bit more expensive then. But so I wouldn't need that. But yeah, I mean, I think I could probably even get to Odegaard. I think if I was, because I've got a bit of money in the bank anyway, I'd have to double check that. I'm not quite sure how far I could get, but no, that's the point I'm making. Is that Son move worth it? The trouble is, the moment I spend Son's money, I can't go to anybody else, which is the problem. Which means you can't then jump back. So I'm half tempted to keep the money, because I might want to go back to Salah, particularly if he gets a double game week. I hope there's these double game week announcements before we get to the deadline. If we get that, there'll be a lot more sense. We throw this pod in the bin and then we carry on. Right. Anyway, Crystal Palace against Manchester United. I enjoyed that conversation, Gabe. It's always good. I do like these. I do like these Spurs arguments.
That was a perfect one for us too. Our two
It
biases
was
coming
absolutely
out in
perfect.
full swing, full tilt.
Absolutely perfect. You watch, you're going to end up buying, son. I bet you buy it.
I might.
I know you would. I knew you would. I bloody knew it. I knew it.
Salah, I mean, I don't know. Salah the Son or Andreas to Casemiro. I don't know. It's a tough choice.
Come on, you know you want to. Right, anyway, back to this. 1 hour in. Crystal Palace against Manchester United. The second of the first of the double game week fixtures. Fixture difficulty. Manchester United positive away at Selhurst Park is interesting. That tells me just how bad potentially Crystal Palace are becoming, and also that Manchester United seem to be turning a corner. Oddly enough, I like this game a lot more for Rashford than I do the derby. But that said, Rashford's in great form. Saying that again, it looks like the right-hand side for Manchester United is favoured here, which is where he can be. He can obviously come in and cut in. Shot goal predictors. Well, it's like a traffic. You only need an amber, and it's like a traffic light. If we had a third team with an amber, it'd be lovely. Crystal Palace red, Manchester United green, nice little amber in the middle. Yes, I think your stuff prefers Manchester United.
Yeah, I think. I mean, the metrics are all unanimous. I think in this matchup and in this fixture. What I would say is ignore the green in NetxG. That's just green because we're heading into these are the double game weeks, so it just didn't compare with the rest of the game weeks because we had it in a separate chart there. So I think the metrics agree. Slight favorite towards Manchester United. The shots models are maybe heavier favorites towards Manchester United because the volume is there and they're getting a lot of shots and they're getting a lot of shots on target. I think the XG they're generating from those chances could be a little bit higher, but Palace just have been so poor that I don't know what's Vieira's trying to figure out there. He has a team and a system that he's had for a while, and it seems like he tweaks things. And I don't know which Palace is going to come out. The fact that they're at home helps him a little bit, but I think and Zaha is kind of like a grudge player, isn't he? Speaking of like grudge matches.
Well, yes. If anyone's going to score, this is a Zaha game, isn't it?
Zaha game.
100%. This is a Zaha game. Yeah. When he gets pissed off and then he turns up and you can see that. It could be a stinkingly shitty night in South London as well. The weather could be crap. The atmosphere could be banging. It will be banging. It could be closer than this. I think closer than maybe the gut tells you here. Again, is this a great matchup for Manchester United? The answer is no. It's okay. It's okay. That's as far as I would go. There's a question in here from Abdul Rahman. Let's put it onto the screen now. I know you pinged it, but let's put it onto the screen now. Thanks for the great effort. Love it, lads. You're most welcome, Abdul Rahman. Can you please rate the idea of Captain Rashford out of 10 this week? Well, I think 7.
Not bad. 5.5.
Yeah. The only reason I say it is there's form in there. That's the only reason why I'm not lower.
And the only reason I am lower is because tactically they haven't really shown much. And they've had kind of like some really easy matchups since restart. So there are reasons for this kind of form, and to bet on that in kind of tricky matchups and tricky fixtures could backfire. So I dropped that a little bit, but I did want to take this moment. Let's do our customary one plug. We never plug, but we have 48 people watching. Just if you are liking this stream, and the chat and the content and the data and the conversations. and the abuse, then just give us a like. That's all. That's all we ask. Give us a like, share with your friends, and become a hauler if you want to get abused in a private community.
Yeah, if you want to get abused on Discord, then come become a hauler as well.
Yeah, we'll abuse you anywhere.
The one thing I would say though is that what we do have now is, as I say, I'm rolling these algorithms out, and what I'm doing is I'm putting them onto our shared drive now, and giving people the link. And I'm literally, all I'm doing is dropping the numbers in. That's it. And then you can make your own algorithms. And I really like, if people like the idea of playing with numbers to try and work out what's more important than others, how would you rank these players? Oh, Chris is overweighting the appearances, or is overweighting zones, or is overweighting one thing or another, or NetxG. Which bit do you like? You decide what you like. As a hauler, you can do that. You can work your own. You can work your own algorithms out, and that's the reason why I've done it. I think that's probably the much more valuable than Discord for me. Yeah. If that's what rocks your boat, become a hauler today.
There you go.
There we go. That's my plug. Anyway, sounds like a. Let's see what's next. Oh, here we go again. I mean, Manchester City against Tottenham. Come on, son, my son. Right. Well, it could be. I am absolutely desperate for a Son return, particularly if Cancelo doesn't start and I don't get rid of him. Because I could. I mean, the thing is, I think we're getting to a point now with Manchester City defence. I know you said about options and junking basically Cancelo down to 3.9. I know it's an option, right? But the point is that does anybody know what Pep's up to at this moment in time? I think the answer to that is no, not in defence. I think maybe John Stones is the closest thing I can find, apart from Edison, as to someone who I could go from Cancelo to if I wanted to free money up to be able to do something. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, Stones is probably the most nailed, the most important defender they have right at this point in time. But I mean, my eyes go straight to that central matchup. And
it's strong, isn't it?
That's why you have to get KDB. And my obviously opinion, but I think KDB is a standout option. Strong central matchup in both the matchups. I think it's a total of 9.3 or 10.1 or something like that.
It's an interesting point you make. Their zonals are better this week than 23.
Yeah.
The zonals are better this week than 23. Spoiler alert, the fixture filter is better in 23 than now. Which is the conundrum about triple captaincy, which we'll come on to in a bit. So I'm sort of like starting slowly but surely to get towards that conversation.
So yeah, for those that don't know, that's just 23 is Arsenal and Villa for City.
Yes, and the Villa home fixture is the very, very positive matchup for Manchester City. That suggests a potential cricket score, according to my stuff at this early stage. So
Villa are about to buy a center back though. So if 23, they might have this new center back.
Yeah, things can change. Things can change. But yeah, on this one, fixture difficulty very positive, 2.9 for City. Defensively 1.1, even defensively a bit better. It suggests that Spurs are really potentially not very good away from home because City can concede, right? And they have been conceding. I think I tend to agree that money out of defence is actually the route right now. Again, given what we've been seeing in recent weeks, zonals suggest left and centre for City over right. I'd really love to know that City left. Again, we can't work it out. This is what hurt. This is what worries me so much. Dare I go Mahrez? Oh, God help me. But as for Spurs, as much as I've just been talking up Son, this really doesn't support it. These numbers don't support Son at all. It's a gut feeling.
It's a gut pick, yep.
Your shot goal predictor is super positive for Manchester City, but then it very, very quickly neutralizes when it comes to shot on target.
Yeah, I noticed that, right? cities.
I know.
Cities shots have
1
been shitty.
hour and 9 minutes. Somebody please snip 1 hour and 9 minutes. We need Gabe's Freudian slip. Keep going.
Cities shots are shitty, I guess is what I was trying to say. And it's reflected there with the expected goals on target. But still, that I did write there. Snun could be a sneaky force on the break for Tottenham, and so I do like him actually better in this matchup. And it's not a data thing. It's more of a tactics thing. For me anyway. So yeah, but I just don't like Spurs defense. I think defensively they're all over the place, and I don't know if Bentancur will be back for this game. Do you know?
Yeah, could probably do with him, couldn't they, for a game like this?
He would be a difference maker for them. It would make
that
he would make that central matchup a little bit more difficult for Kevin De Bruyne, I think, and make people that are fading Kevin De Bruyne this week, that make them feel a little bit more reassured if Bentancur is in there. But without Bentancur, I think both the De Bruyne and Holland are just gonna haul. They're gonna haul in this one.
Yeah, I mean, look, again, it's a real difficult one because I can see. I don't get me wrong. I see the argument for KDB. I completely see it. And under normal, if I was at rank 10,000, I would be buying KDB without a thought. It would be so obvious. But I'm not. I'm at 350,000 or something like that. And the issue is, am I forcing it? Is this one of those ones, Gabe, where I'm forcing it again? Am I doing a Chelsea last season? Is that Werner move last season? You can remember when I did it with the Werner move? I went Ronaldo to Werner, and I went triple Chelsea for a double game week, right? And it completely sunk me. Now, is that the same level of forcing it by going for Son and Kane as the Chelsea one? It's an interesting conundrum because there's the little devil sat telling me, hang on a minute, Mariner, just bloody slow down. I know your waterworks. I'll be pissed off if I didn't do it and it happens. I'll be furious. There'll be a bigger rant that way.
Can you get De Bruyne and Kane?
Yeah.
You can get De Bruyne and Kane?
Yeah, easy.
You're overthinking.
I can do it with one move. I don't even. I've got 2 free transfers. I could bank a transfer and do that.
Wait, De Bruyne and Kane?
Yeah, I've already got Kane. I just go Salah.
You've already.
I just go Salah to De Bruyne.
Yeah, you're overthinking it. You have your bases covered. You have your Kane. You have your De Bruyne. You're covered, and you're climbing up the ranks. You do what you're doing. You're definitely overthinking this one.
Oh God, you watch Son Hall, and then I'll be absolutely furious.
He'll be on my team when he does. I'll be in there in the chat. First return he gets, I'll be pinging.
You talk me out of this. If you talk me out of this, I will destroy you next week if it doesn't happen. Right? Okay. We're having fun anyway. Right, there we go. That's the matchups. Let's summarize it then. There we go. Timestamp 1 hour 13. Come to the Fixture Difficulty. Come to the show if you're listening on YouTube. Go to 1 hour 13 and you will see a summary of the Fixture Difficulty, and you will see that the best matchup is Newcastle Fulham this week. The second best matchup is Aston Villa Leeds attack-wise, and then we have Brighton, Liverpool, and Brentford, Bournemouth. Interestingly, that none of the look at those double game week FDRs, Gabe. They're really not as good. These are not great matchups. They're double game weeks, but they're not great matchups. And that's the difference between now and 23, because Haaland does have a very good matchup in 23. Admittingly, he's also got Arsenal, which is not a good matchup. Right. So there we go. Defensively, this week, Newcastle Fulham is the best. Everton at home to Southampton. God, to Southampton must be bad. West Ham Wolves. God, Wolves must be bad.
That's a lot of just not reliable matchups there, like for the
totally
defense.
unreliable. Totally unreliable. You do see a more positive matchup when you get to the double for City against Spurs, as we said, 2.9, a bit more for Manchester United, 1.4. Not an awful lot for defence. Again, I don't think I'd be falling over myself bringing that defender in. I think that's the point which we made earlier on, right, Kev? I think that's a very good point. The zonals is there as well, and you can see there that the standout zonal for the double game week is definitely the Spurs game. But Haaland's matchup for the United game is not bad either. So if you're a zonals man, I think this, if you had to pick between 23 and 20 for triple captain, this is your week. If you're a zonals man or woman.
Even not being a zonals person, it's just look at the discrepancy. Look how much better it is than any other zonal
and we do look at that, don't we?
Yeah, it's comparing to the rest. Like,
we do look at those differentials. We look for it standing out, don't we? And it's something you always said to me, Chris, look for the ones which jump off the page rather than something which is more subtle, which I'm not, of course. But yeah, so
I mean, yeah, so.
But that suggests Crystal Palace down the middle against Chelsea as well. Look, it just jumps off the page right now at me.
Hey, Crystal Palace down the middle, Eza.
Possibly.
He was listed there in the matchup slide, so I think Eza is a legit shout.
Yeah,
goes super cheap in the middle.
And Arsenal's matchup's really good as well against Spurs. Now, looking further out, I just want to very quickly look further out on the zones here. So we've got the obvious choices, but we've got Arsenal centre and right, generally speaking. City centre and left are really ones that jump out. Palace centre stays solid. I'm not sure I'm going that route at all. No. But you know what? There's not a lot else. There's not a lot else with respect to the next five, with respect to who I might be tempted to be drawn to when it comes to zones. At this moment in time, it will change as we go. That's the summary. Again, 1 hour 16 for the summary for all the metrics, all added up together. So I suppose we better do the captaincy metric, hadn't we? I suppose we better have a quick look and see what's going on there, if we're ready. There we go. And well, as if you didn't know, it's Haaland. Well, but stop the press, I know it's very obvious, right? Haaland on a double game week. It's him, but he is only just over Kane, which is interesting. Kane is closer than than I thought he would be. Now, what I've done is I've had to change this slightly because I always used to do the minutes using the percentile, but for a double game week, I've had to do it by predicted minutes or by average minutes and predicted minutes. So you'll see on the left hand side, anything which is highlighted, that's actually predicted minutes off Hub. So that's the only way I can do it. It then converts it into a percentile, but it's using that as a starting point. So there's no other way of doing it. So as you can see there, that does pull the double game week or some of the double game week players up towards the top. Haaland, top, 91. Kane, second, 89. Then Trippier. Look how high Trippier is sat. He's sat above KDB as a captaincy option this week. I don't know whether it's right. But look, it just makes a point, doesn't it? It makes a point that Trippier is, I think, potentially the real deal now. I genuinely think he is. But let's look at Haaland. 88 for minutes, 98 for haul, 89 for return, 79 for points in the last 6. So he's not necessarily the highest point scorer recently. His NetxG really likes it. And then we've got fixture difficulty of 80. So that's not quite so good. But then you've got the predictions. The anytime returns and the expected points are really solid. And then what I've done is I've made a slight change to it, Gabe. I've gone ZI. That is now zones and involvement. So I've now put zones in with the expected goal involvement per player to try and just support a player who's involved in something who plays in the area where the zone is best.
Interesting.
And that puts Haaland at the top of 99. Kane 88. Okay, so there we go. So that's a very minor change I've made to the metric this week. So again, just something I've been playing with over Christmas. I wanted to try and just make it a little bit. I know you already take into account the zonal as in your XG, so I've not changed it in there, but I have changed it in the zone and involvement. So that just gives us an extra thing to think about in the background, which supports the metric, I think, going forwards.
Shouldn't Haaland and De Bruyne be the same? Or the goal involvement is different?
I put him as an average. Because I don't know where he's going to be.
Right, got it. Makes sense.
Now, the issue is with these zones, and it's an interesting conversation, but obviously it's where the chance is created from, not necessarily where the chance is converted from, right?
Right.
So that's always the thing where we have a little bit of a where it can maybe upgrade. It doesn't have a huge effect to it. Okay, it doesn't have an enormous effect, but it maybe has a quarter, maybe I don't know, 15% of the overall metric. So it will have a little effect.
Then that's why it's good to kind of like explain it with the tactics. That's why like the data and then the tactics work together, especially on the zonal front.
Yeah. But there we go. Yeah. It's Haaland. Right. Here's the $1 million question. To triple captain or not to triple captain? Erling Haaland. Gabe, your answer.
I think my answer is yes.
Ooh.
So
on what basis? On what basis?
So obviously the zonal matchup goes without saying. I think derbies are unpredictable, but Haaland he's a fiery derby type of player. He thrives on these scenarios and like kind of like putting it in the face of his opponent. So like just from a psychological perspective, I think it's there. I think Arsenal not scoring any goals against Newcastle recently, they're going to see an opportunity where the City dropped points as well, and it could have gone against them. So I think they're going to see an opportunity there. And the easier game is at home, the Spurs game at home. I think that's where he could really go off. If he gets a small like an assist in the United game, I think that'll be fine. But I think he has multiple returns in him in the Spurs game. And then the other thing is, I don't remember Haaland ever playing an entire season without getting injured. And he's healthy right now. Right now, he's perfectly healthy.
Use that as an argument. You can't use that as an argument.
Go look at his history.
He might get injured. Well, the bloody asteroid might hit the bloody Earth next.
How many times has that happened?
Well, true. From the asteroids on it was a long time ago since the asteroid did.
So Haaland injures his hamstring every season. Every season. This is going to happen this season. I don't know when, but it will.
He was just completely rested, right? Was he? Did he rest? No. Yeah.
He's injured his hamstring at different times of the season. When they play in the Bundesliga and they take like that month and a half or 2 month break, they come back at the end of January. He comes back, he gets injured. This is just who he is. So at some point this season, he will hurt his hamstring. This is a given.
So you're basically saying, so your argument is go for the now. Go what you know, what you might know.
It's the theme of the pod a little bit. Live in the now, yes.
Take what you know. What might happen. Go for more of that.
Yeah. That's why.
God. I mean, you do make a very. That's why I put my head in my hands. You do make a very, very strong case on just on that point alone. And I'm trying to find a way to abuse you on it, but I'm not sure I can. I personally prefer 23 to this week for the Villa matchup alone. I think that one has a, and like you say, if you're going about, right now, I'm going to give you the same argument. Go for the now, not what might happen then, right? Villa might buy a centre-back, but they might not.
They did
That's
buy a
also
left. They did buy a left back, Alex Moreno from Betis. That's who it was.
right. Okay.
That's who they
Still
bought.
got it.
But
Still got
still,
it.
it
Still got to
won't.
get going. And I
Yeah.
know Emery's making a difference, right? But they can't. And they need to buy a flaming defender because they were bloody awful against Stevenage. I mean, Christ, if Stevenage can turn them over at home, then God help them. Do you know what I mean? I mean, I'd triple captain Mahrez if they defend the way they did down the right against Stevenage. Oh, that was the left. Damn it. I'm just thinking about where it was. Yeah, it was the left-hand side. No, it would be Mahrez. It would be Mahrez I'd be thinking about. Yeah, crikey. I genuinely think that that is a standout matchup at this moment in time compared to these. I feel that is a better. I know where you're coming from, and it may be that, look, if I'm trying to keep the momentum up, I mean, I'm gaining rank now for the first time in, the first time I've put back-to-back gains on my rank now for some time, I think, or certainly just about back-to-back. Do I keep it going? There's a gut feeling sometimes. I did it last year. I got the points on the bank, and then I hung on for dear life. Maybe I need to do that. Maybe I actually need to do the same as you and go with the triple captain and then hope to gain rank on it and then try and defend 23 a little bit more. If indeed that's the case, maybe with a hit or some differential or something like that to try and offset that captaincy. And it does work. It does work doing it that way.
Maybe KDB does that then, and he has better form then, or something like that.
Yeah, but you need to keep. Yeah, but you need to keep pulling that little rabbit out of the hat, I'm afraid, when you get to that situation. At the end of the day, you've only got one triple captainship. You cannot use it twice. So that's the situation. Use it now, hang on. Use it later, hide behind the sofa this week.
Yeah, the other thing I'll say is in game week 20, City have an extra day between the matches than in game week 23. There's 1 day less between the matches in game week 23 for whatever that's worth.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Food for thought. I will tweet whether I am triple captaining or not. I will also tweet whether I am bringing in Son or not this week. I will promise I will tweet it, and I won't miss the deadline.
You know what you're going to do. You're going to bring in Son and triple captain, and you're going to tell yourself, I don't need KDB because I'm triple captaining.
I bust Captain Rashford. It was a good job because I missed the deadline.
Yeah. Oh, you did.
Yeah.
No wonder you have 2 transfers. I wish I missed the deadline.
I've just been making one transfer since I actually thought I'd say. I mean, for once I'm actually ahead of the game a little bit, owning Kane at the restart. So other people are scrambling around. I didn't have the Reece James issue to deal with either. I've been a little bit fortunate. I do have the Cancelo issue to deal with, and that's the big problem for me. Yeah. But I don't know whether I know you said, well, he might play both games. Then again, he might not. What's the now on that one? The now on that one is he's not going to play both games.
It's uncertain. It's Schrodinger's now.
It is. Right. Okay. Have we got any questions? Let's quickly do the questions and get out of here.
Yep. We have a few here. We have a few started questions. First one from Rubber Ducky, our friend Rubber Ducky. Would you triple captain Holland for the guaranteed close to 180 minutes? Just answer that. So there you go. We did that one first. Next one. Fantasy football casuals. Every defense can be got at this season, even City, in my opinion. That's why I can't see spending over 6.5 million on a defender as sense. Thoughts?
Say again.
Thoughts on spending over 6.5 million on a defender.
I tend to agree with you. I mean, why the hell would you go towards? I mean, who are these defenders over 6.5 million right now?
Well, especially one that might start 3 and 5, like Cancelo.
Yeah, Trent, Robbo, and Cancelo. Right. I mean, look. At the moment, Liverpool defense is bloody awful. Bloody awful. That said, they might have a double game week. If they have a double game week, then it'd be an interesting thought, but not for me. Not for me. I'm just actually looking through Discord.
George Thomas says, love to know your thoughts on Doherty for the double game week.
Doherty for the double game week. Doherty.
I'd rather punt on Rico Lewis.
Yeah, I mean, look, I can't see how a honestly, what appeal is there for a Doherty pick?
He's relatively cheap. He's nailed. He'll have a double this week. Maybe a double.
Is he nailed now? He wasn't when I owned him, fucker.
Yeah, no, I think I think consensus is he's pretty nailed now. He serves long diagonal balls into the box sometimes. Sometimes he gets in there himself. I don't know. But there's just defensive moves are so hard to justify, and Doherty, unless it's enabling something else, I don't know. Need more context.
I personally just immediately just think no.
We got some sun shouts. The romantic sun shout is invading my thoughts. That's from Sam Williams here. The romantic sun shout is invading my thoughts.
Yeah, it's invading mine as well, Sam, to be honest. But I think it is romantic and nothing more than a bit of a feeling in the water, like I said. What's this? Fantasy football casuals. Salah, Rashford, Rodrigo, Almiron, Mbumo, Kane, and Haaland, with Odegaard first on the bench. Who do I swap to get the Arsenal guy in, or leave it as is? You're playing Rodrigo, Aston Villa?
That's tough. Swap Mbumo.
Mbumo? What? Hey, you take Mbumo out?
Yeah, put Odegaard in.
Against Bournemouth?
Yep. It's mini De Bruyne. You play him. Top of the league.
No, I'd definitely play him, but I mean, surely
you're gonna take what, Rodrigo out?
Yeah, I would. Yeah. Without
maybe.
a moment's notice, without hesitation, without hesitation.
I don't know. Maybe.
Leeds away, shit, right?
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, take Rodrigo out. Fair enough.
We agree to disagree. That's Net That Haul. Right. What's next? Anything else?
We got one from Sam Williams here. Love from Matoma. Yes, our love child here at Net That Haul. Shall I use one of my transfers to bring him in, or bring in any non-double game week player, or should I just stick on transfers for double game week players? Have 5 currently.
Ooh, he's already got 5. I've got 4 at this moment in time. Probably going to make it 5. At this moment in time, as much as that matchup's really good for Brighton, I don't think I'd prioritise a Brighton move this way. Even though I was like joking, bye. I do think Brighton are a very, very strong option going forward. I don't know whether I would prioritise a double game week player over Mitoma right now, but just wait until we find out if we've got any announcements for double game weeks. Don't move yet. And there are a load of League Cup games this week, aren't there? I'm sure there are. Yes, there are.
I think there are
so
League Cup
injuries.
games.
So I think the moral of the story for transfers, guys, is wait.
Yeah.
Wait.
Yeah, there are a bunch of games tomorrow and stuff. But the other thing I'll say for Mitoma, unfortunately, he was going to be my transfer in, because Ben Crellin had said that Brighton will have a double. They might even have a triple game week. Apparently that was wrong. He was mistaken there. So Mitoma doesn't have these extra game weeks. So I think I would prioritize a double game week player. I started with a Estupinian, for example, after the restart. That turned out to be a Stupido, because now I have to move him out. And my transfer might...
A Stupido rather than a Stupido. I love that. That is excellent. I mean, there's the fixture difficulty going forwards. We'll just put that on the screen whilst we're talking, actually.
Yeah.
And Brighton's fixture difficulty going forwards, next 5, is actually pretty good. It's 3rd best for attack.
It's okay for attack, and I prefer, like... It's the double game weeks. That's the thing. But I would prefer Mitoma to Andreas right now, for example.
Yeah, no, I think that. But bear in mind, this only has the double game weeks in that I've confirmed. There's no percentage chance of a double game week. I've not got that far. I can't see the point. Once it's confirmed, I change it.
Yeah.
So at the moment, the double game weeks are in there for next 5 game weeks. That does also include the Manchester City and the Arsenal game as well in 23. That's also been factored into these numbers. But yeah, Brighton, it really likes them. It really likes them. It quite likes them. It likes them defensively as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, the Stupido move. I mean, is it that a Stupido in the next 5 weeks? Who's better?
Botman.
Yeah.
Shaw.
Yeah. Okay. Fair point.
So there we go. Botman and
No
Shaw.
argument. No argument. And the thing is that if you don't own, the trouble is Newcastle's defensive EO. If you don't have two, you're losing every single time they get a bloody clean sheet unless you get an attacking return, right? I've got a question here from Dom Blackdragon on our Discord. Dom, thank you very much. If Liverpool double in 21, other than Salah and Darwin, is there any other Liverpool attacking option? Would you go Gakpo as your fifth midfielder, Trent as your fourth defender? I mean, fifth midfielder, crikey, he's probably got Evan Ferguson on his mind if he's going that route. I would guess. Where are you on that? I mean, look, Darwin Núñez is just a bit of a laughing stock right now, but he definitely has a haul in him.
He does.
It's when that haul's coming. He has the potential to be, I think, the biggest troll of the season.
Oh, he's well on his way. Like, it would be tough for players to catch him. I think in that race, I think he should win that. But I agree, there are hauls in him. But I don't think you should be holding Darwin until that haul comes around, just to prove yourself that you were right eventually. Like I don't know. I think Darwin isn't. But I don't think the question was about Darwin, so we get sidetracked here.
No, it's fine, because there was another question. There was another general comment in the.
Gakpo as the fifth midfielder. I think that's a little bit rich for a fifth midfielder. I'm definitely I'm curious for sure. But I want to see him. I want to see him play league matches first to see what his role is going to be before I go anywhere. I think he could actually play the Firmino role. Yeah.
There's another question from Claire FPL on Discord. Darwin out, Kane in, Andreas out, Mitoma in, -4.
I wonder why the Mitoma move.
Yeah, it makes me wonder as well. It's almost like I think I can see the Kane move. It might, unless it can't be to create money. She's got money already because she's actually spending more. So, Kane, let's strip it back. Darwin to Kane this week.
Do it. Easy.
If you've got the cash.
If you've got the cash, easy, without no hit. And if you can roll that other transfer, I think that could be quite nice.
I think, and this is where I do have this funny feeling that makes me then to just caught. We need to know whether these double game weeks are coming. If we know these double game weeks are coming, we can unload hits this week and they can pay off other two.
Exactly.
Right? Our mate Joe in Malaysia, the hitman, FPL Joe, ZHOU. Give him a follow. He needs some love. He's having a bit of a tough time on FPL right now, but we know him, don't we? He's the hitman. I'm just waiting to see all these hits flying around. I absolutely love it.
It's going to happen this week.
They pay off as well. Was it Raptor last year? Took a ton of hits and they paid off. You know, I took a ton. I took 8 hits in the last 8 game week.
I think Late Riser's considering a -12, which I think is crazy for just a 2-game double game week. But long term, we'll see. We'll see. We have to see.
It's not crazy if you are taking hits now, which pay off over 2 weeks or more than that. It's not so crazy. If you know these double game weeks are in there, it gives you more chance to pay these hits off with respect to, because you can just think, okay, I'm taking the pain now, but I'm going to come flying back in 21, right?
Yeah.
Or hopefully. Any others? Or is that it?
No, just Travis comes in. I think Mitoma move makes sense looking at those to bench boost soon and then Wildcard. So yeah, I suppose if you want to get that bench boost out of the way, I think Mitoma's a good shout for that. Good enabler of that.
Okie dokie. Right. All right. Shall we get out of there, mate? I think we need to. I've got to go to work. You've got to go and sort the kids' tea out, probably.
No, the kids don't drink that dirty water. My son has practice in 30 minutes.
Football, soccer,
soccer. Soccer ball practice.
Football. Tell these Americans it's football, not soccer.
He knows. He's my son.
Good.
He knows. Yeah.
Good. We don't know this bullshit, right?
The only time I say soccer is when I say soccer ball. If I'm going to call it soccer, I'm going to call it soccer ball. If it's football, if it's baseball, it's going to be soccer ball.
Gabe, we should. We've run out of time, and I haven't had a chance to shout the haulers, and I haven't had a chance to do the mini league. We'll do it next week.
Okay.
But yeah, haulers, you know who you are. We've got to dive off. I've got to go to work. Gabe's got to go and sort foosball out with the kids. But you know, haulers, we love you dearly, and it's not very often we don't give you a shout out, but you know who you are. Mini league wise, we'll come back next week with that as well. And yeah, I don't know. There's an awful lot to say. Thank you very much, Gabe. Always a pleasure.
Yeah, pleasure. Thank you to the about 50 or so people that joined us in the chat and withstood our rants and yells and insults and abuse. Please come back next week.
If you buy Sun, I swear I will lose my shit next week.
I'm not going to tell you, but I'll tag you in my Twitter post.
Bastard.
Cheers.
Because I think you've talked me out of it. Oh, no. I think you've talked me out of it. I think you've talked me into double triple captain in Ireland as well.
There you
I
go.
hate you. Anyway, we'll see. No. Mate, thank you very much. As I said, guys, hit like, hit subscribe, come and become a hauler, come and get this algorithm and all the other malarkey which we've got in there. If nothing else, just come into Discord and abuse us. We're more than happy to give you some abuse back, just like we abuse each other. Nima, obviously, hopefully, wasn't here this week. Hopefully, be back next week. Yes, we are Net That Haul, and the best of luck for this game week. And do sit on your bloody hands, guys, because there could be changes afoot with respect to fixtures, injuries, and this, that, and the other. So take it easy, and we'll speak to you soon. All the best. Bye-bye.